The problem here is not rejecting him outright, but embracing other gods alongside Jesus and not even realizing, saying, okay, God, you're God. Jesus, you're God. I believe in you. I follow you. I accept you. But at the same time, I have other priorities. I have other things that are important to me. I have other values. I'm going to embrace other practices outside of my faith, things that the culture says is important. We love Jesus, sure, but sometimes unconsciously, unwittingly, we add and also. We love Jesus and also something else, someone else. And this is what is called religious syncretism. And if you've not heard that word before, it's important. You really need to know that word because it is a gigantic problem in the Bible. In fact, you cannot understand the Old Testament unless you understand this idea of religious syncretism. Religious syncretism is the blending together of different religious values, practices, and beliefs in a way that alters and distorts the original faith system. So it's blending together different religious ideas and beliefs and practices, blending them together so that the product you get out of that is different than the original faith system. And this was a major problem that we see Aaron given fuel to here with this golden calf. It's something that plagued Israel throughout her history, taking gods, different gods, Baal and Asherah and, Apis, all these gods. Hey, let's bring them in and worship them along with Yahweh. Yeah, that's a good idea. And they did it. It plagued Israel throughout her history. The prophets, if you read the prophets over and over again, they're saying the same exact thing, like, this is a bad idea. Don't do it. Don't corrupt your worship. These gods are not gods. They do not deserve to be alongside the one true God. And so even Jesus himself and the early church spoke against these very things. So Israel was no doubt tempted to replace Yahweh with other gods. But just as problematic, Israel was tempted to take faith in Yahweh and the worship of other gods and blend them together, make them something different, and that is religious syncretism. This is actually a big time problem for me, and this is actually a big time problem for you in our culture and in our world. It's this idea of, hey, we're being impacted by something, we might not even realize it. See, one of the greatest dangers we face today as Christ followers is not rejecting God outright and becoming an atheist, but worshiping Jesus alongside other small g gods. The biggest danger that we face is not like, man, I go through this hardship, this is a big problem in my life, I'm just gonna reject God altogether. Now, there are people that reject the church. The church has screwed so many things up and they kind of step away from the church, or they kind of say, I'm not gonna be involved in faith, or their faith in God is shaken, but it doesn't really just always mean I'm gonna reject God. There's plenty of people who believe in God, but here is the thing, the problem here is not rejecting him outright, but embracing other gods alongside Jesus and not even realizing, saying, okay, God, you're God. Jesus, you're God. I believe in you. I follow you. I accept you. But at the same time, I have other priorities. I have other things that are important to me. I have other values. I'm going to embrace other practices outside of my faith, things that the culture says is important. We love Jesus, sure, but sometimes unconsciously, unwittingly, we add and also to our faith. We love Jesus and also something else. We love the Lord and also someone else. And the question really is, how does this spiral into compromise get rooted into our lives? How does this slide into syncretism that we're all susceptible to start to happen? There's a process, and we actually read about that in Deuteronomy 12. It says this, be careful not to be ensnared by inquiring about their gods, saying, how do these nations serve their gods? We will do the same. You must not worship the Lord your God in their way, because in worshiping their gods, they do all kinds of detestable things the Lord hates. They even burn their sons and daughters in the fire as sacrifices to their gods. See that you do all that I command you. Do not add to it, and do not take away from it. So the first step in this slippery slide into compromise and a corrupted faith is this, that we all want to fit in. We want to fit in with the surrounding culture. We want to fit in with the people around us. That's true for all of us. We're social creatures. God made us that way. We're wired for connection. We're wired for community. We don't do that well in isolation. We might think we do, but we don't. And so this is a good thing, but also this kind of drive to fit in, to be approved by other people, it has a negative side too, because it absolutely 100% can lead us astray. And here Israel is warned, saying, listen, you're going into this new land. I just delivered you from Egyptian bondage. You're in the wilderness. I'm leading you to the land of Canaan, a land flowing with milk and honey. And it's going to be amazing, but it's going to also pose some danger, because your neighbors, they got other things going on. They have other beliefs, they have other values, they have other practices, and they're going to want to share them with you. And you're going to be very tempted to embrace the gods and idols and values and priorities of your neighbors, of the people around you. You're going to be tempted to make their values your values, their priorities your priorities, the things they depend on for ultimate safety and satisfaction and fulfillment. You're going to be tempted to embrace those things, to depend on those things, to put your hope in those things others are looking to for that safety and satisfaction and fulfillment. Your neighbors are going to influence you, and you need to be aware and alert to that. And this is where our social nature, which is good but can lead us astray, leads to the next step. We inquire about the value of the false gods around us. We inquire about the value. Verse 29 says, be careful not to be ensnared by inquiring about these gods. Here we become curious about what others value. We become curious about the spirituality and how people express it. And so Israel here starts to ask questions about their neighbors' gods. You know, what are their gods like? Wonder what those gods can do for them. I wonder what benefit my neighbor's gods can bring into my life or add to my family. And then all of a sudden we're inquiring, we're curious, we're inquiring. So what do? We kind of do a test drive. Like, hey, let me try this out. Let me give it a shot and see what it's like. And I'm going to dabble a little bit in something else. I want to dabble with these guys. Just, kind of, again, check it out and see where it leads me. For us today, it's like believing in Jesus, but then saying, he's not exactly enough. I need Jesus and maybe just something else. I need to add something to him. And so I need to add something to my faith. And I wonder, maybe if I had Jesus, I'm going to keep him, but also maybe a little Buddha. Let's do a little Buddha. Hey, let's do a little Mother Earth. Mother Earth, the earth, it's alive and it speaks to us, and a little new age thinking. So I'm going to add Mother Earth into the mix and let her speak to us and add her to Jesus. I'm going to pay attention to maybe a palm reader. Go get my palm read. Have a tarot card reading of some type. Maybe they could help me figure some stuff out. I'll go to a psychic. Maybe a psychic could reveal something to me. So I need Jesus, but also a psychic to reveal something about my future. Or I'll look to the stars. The stars in the heavens. I want to align with the stars. The stars are speaking, and so I'm going to listen to them and figure out what they might have to say about my future. And so there's this sense where, hey, I'm curious, and we begin to inquire, and it leads us to dabble with certain things, and then suddenly also forget. We forget the uniqueness of who God is. We forget that Actually, the calf had zero to do with their deliverance from oppression and slavery. That Yahweh did all that. He is unique. There is no one like him. No one can stand shoulder to shoulder with him. That he is high and lifted up. That he's the beginning and the end, the Alpha, the Omega. God is unique in all of history. There is no one comparable to him with power and grace, provision and guidance for the future. And we forget. And so we're curious. We inquire, we dabble, we forget, and it leads to the last stage where our spiritual loyalties become divided. We look at what our neighbors are doing. We look at what our friends are doing. We look at what our coworkers are doing. We look at something on YouTube and see what they're doing. We listen to a podcaster. If it's a podcast and it has a following, it has to be true. Right? I mean, they have a following. It's a podcast, right? Is this not real? I mean, we should listen to every podcast and suddenly let's just do what they told us to do. There's that temptation to align our lives with what other people say. And before we know it, we're not outright rejecting Jesus, but we're blending him in with other things. And we know that when we build a faith that's compromised by other ideas that are incompatible with what Jesus teaches and desires of us, that faith gets watered down, our worship is compromised, and what we believe is corrupted. And this is why God says in verse 32, do not add to it. Do not take away from it. Do not add to it. Don't listen to every voice. Don't take away from it. Don't listen to what everybody's saying. Listen to me. Don't be ensnared by your neighbor's idols. This is a call to a singular, pure, unadulterated faith. We are to love God and say we are trusting him for ultimate safety and satisfaction. And we don't want to say that when simultaneously we're really trusting God plus something else for our ultimate safety and satisfaction. The truth is, God wants our whole heart. He wants undivided loyalty. And so the question is, how do we make sure we avoid this slippery slide into syncretism? How do we avoid this tendency to compromise and water down true faith, giving ourselves to Jesus and also something else? The first thing here, we need to identify the idols and small g gods, any Jesus and also in our lives, in your life, that compete for your attention and your affection. Identify the idols and small g gods. We all have them. We're influenced by them. We're impacted by them. Any Jesus and also in our lives, something that is going to compete for your attention and your affection. And those temptations, those idols, those options are absolutely everywhere around us. And there are tests that we can apply to see what really is most important to us, what drives us, what we value, what we place our hope in for ultimate meaning and fulfillment. And here we have a difference between our stated faith, what we say we believe, and our functional faith, what we actually believe. So how do we deal with these things? There are some probes that we can use. First, our idols are revealed in our thought life. Our idols are revealed in our thought life. Examine your thought life, what you think about, what you daydream about, your internet scrolling history. Where do your thoughts naturally and effortlessly take you? Like in an idle moment, like you're just like no pressure, nothing's pressuring you, but where do your thoughts naturally and effortlessly take you? Where does your internet browser and your phone naturally and effortlessly take you? This is important to begin to identify really what's going on in our heart. Are you habitually and regularly thinking about politics, sexual things, money, the house you want to build, your net worth, job scenarios, the stuff you've got to have, the new fashion that needs to show up in your closet, your dreams for the future, the things you want to obtain and drive and build? Where do your thoughts most often take you? And where do you go for your excitement? Where do your thoughts go when you're looking for hope? You're looking for some sense of comfort. It's important to identify our thoughts, and this is not just about one thought. The truth is we have all these thoughts. We all have these thoughts. But where do our thoughts habitually go? Where our mind tends to regularly wind up. This is an indicator of really what is most important to us. This is an indicator of what could be in a potential idol that we have set up in our own lives and in our own heart. Our thoughts reveal what is most important, the and alsos that we can easily add to our faith. Our idols are also revealed by our emotions. We are emotional beings. God has made us that way, and that again can be a good thing, but it also has a dark side. Our emotions are like a barometer. They really do reveal what is most important to us. So if we're angry, our anger is likely revealing something that we prioritize, something that we're going to protect, something we fear could be lost, something that we want at all costs. And so in these kind of scenarios, maybe we're angry and we're furious. Why? Angry, furious. Why? Because our football team lost. Our football team, the Eagles, lost, and it's so devastating that we actually can't even talk to anybody for 2 days. We don't eat. We're not going to eat or talk to anybody for 2 days. It's like, I am so into this that I've lost everything. There's no hope, and we have unwittingly, and it can happen, made a sports team an idol. Maybe we've been overlooked for a promotion, and we're furious, we're angry, because maybe our reputation, our career has become the most important thing to us. Our kid didn't get the lead role in the musical. They didn't get the starting position on the baseball team. It's actually possible to make our kid and their reputation an idol too. We tend to build these things up in our lives because emotions, anger, fear, guilt, frustration, hate reveal the thing that we value most, what we see as a necessity, what we will protect at all costs and must have for significance and fulfillment. And here is the thing. If God is the one that we trust with our lives, if He is our focus, our emotions have less power over us because our ultimate safety and security, our ultimate fulfillment and satisfaction are not dependent on circumstances. They're actually dependent on Him. So I need to say this again, because if God is the one we trust with our lives, if He's our focus, our emotions don't latch onto us and derail us and overwhelm us. They have less power because we're trusting God with the things that matter most to us, and we know they're in good hands when they're in His hands. Our emotions reveal what is most important to us. The and alsos we can also easily add to our faith. Our idols are also revealed in how we spend our money. Matthew 6:21 says this, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." In other words, our checkbooks, our credit card bills, our budgets reveal what is most important to us. It reveals our top priority. So imagine this. So what if I said to you, hey, next week, could you bring your credit card receipts for the year, your budget, and also your bank account information? Could you bring that next week? Because what we're going to do is you're going to hand it off to your neighbor. Okay, you're going to hand it to your neighbor, and your neighbor is going to kind of determine what is most important to you. Now, I'm not going to do that because we would have 0 people in church. I get it. But here's the thing. You could hand over all this information to somebody and say, oh, by the way, I'm really into boating. And so you're like looking through it like, there's like almost nothing here with boating, just a little bit in terms of boating. But then you look a little deeper and you're like, no, you're not into boating, but you are into exotic chocolates. I can see it. You're buying chocolates from Belgium and France. You're getting it shipped to your house like in special packaging. And you're like, it shows up. Not what we say is important, but what actually is important. And so we need to examine our own finances to figure out what is most important. If all our money is going to ourselves, to our hobbies, to build our net worth, to kind of fuel our ever-expanding lifestyle, towards our retirement. None of these things are wrong, but in fact, are they really where we should put everything? None of these things in themselves are necessarily intrinsically wrong. But is there anything that we're doing financially? Are we giving in any way beyond ourselves? Are any of our financial resources being invested in God's work to advance good, to change lives through his community, through the church? Are we giving to charity? Are we helping the poor? If we're holding money tightly, if we never practice radical generosity with our resources, if we never sacrifice in any significant way what God has given to us, if we only give God a tip at the end of the month, like, God, you know I got a lot going on, so here's a tip. I got a little left over, here's a tip. And, we give God out of the excess. If we have a little extra, I'll give a little to God. If we're kind of handling our finances that way, and we're holding all things tightly, and that we're not investing in something in terms of radical generosity for a world that desperately needs help, then there's a real danger that our money and financial resources have become something we trust more than God for our future. And the world is constantly tempting us to hold everything tightly for ourselves. How we spend our money reveals what is most important to us, that Jesus, and also that we can add easily to our faith. Last of all, our idols are revealed by our schedule. How you use your time says a lot about what is most important to you. If your time is all about work, it's all about your career, it's all about your company, well, then this is the most important thing to you. And again, you can say, hey, sailing is important to me, and skiing is important to me, and traveling is important to me, and yes, that shows up. Nothing wrong with those things, but they can easily become idols. If you have no time for spiritual things, to invest in spiritual community, to invest in relationships, no time to serve others, something else is filling that space, and that very well could be an idol. Our schedule reveals what is most important to us, the Jesus, and also we can easily add to our faith. And let me just say one more thing about that this is not saying that any of these things in themselves are bad. The problem with idols is this. It's very tricky. It needs to be nuanced, and it's this. Idolatry often turns good things into ultimate things. See, this is the tricky nature of it. Should we be thankful for God blessing us with our finances? Absolutely. God blesses us. Should we be thankful for our husband and our wife? Yes, we should. Should we be thankful that God has given us children if he's blessed us in that way? 100% yes. Should we be thankful for our gifts and abilities, talents and capacities? Yes, we should. These are all good things, but the world is constantly tempting us to take these good things and turn them into ultimate things, because your husband and wife can't be your savior, your money can't be your savior, your ability, talent, and all the things that you're able to do, your capacities, wonderful. You cannot save yourself. And this is what happens. Good things are elevated beyond what they should be. And we've turned the good into an idol. Professor and author Richard Keyes puts it this way: an idol is something within creation that is inflated to function as God. All sorts of things are potential idols, depending only on our attitudes and actions towards them. Idolatry may not involve explicit denials of God's existence or character. It may not be an explicit, outright rejection of God. It may well come in the form of an over-attachment to something that is in itself perfectly good. An idol can be a physical object, a property, a person, an activity, a role, an institution, a hope, an image, an idea, a pleasure, a hero, or anything else that substitutes for God. And this is an important twist, because there's no person and there's no thing that can be your savior that should have ultimacy in our lives. And yet we're constantly tempted to bring those things alongside God and say it's Jesus and also this.